Alright, so I just got this in the mail today. The LG DualUp monitor, Ergo monitor, DualUp Ergo, the LG. NICOSAREA. For context, here's my current setup with a little stand that I made myself. I've been using this monitor for over 7 years now, and I think it's time for an upgrade. It's actually a drawing tablet, but it's actually donezo now. Like I can't. The pen stopped working, or the tablet stopped working altogether, so I'm using it as a secondary monitor. But I think it's time to move on from this weird setup. So I'm going to be extra careful here because it does say not to cut through here, so I'm going to try to use a very small cut here. Okay. So we open the arm side, it looks like. Clamp, and then boom boom bada bing. So what I've done is I took the contents out from this box because it was extremely hard to do it with one hand. So now we're gonna do the ultimate reveal and pull up this styrofoam here, and there's our lovely monitor. Oh my goodness. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna unpackage these from the plastics and the tapes and then try to make sense of what I have right now. Wow, how lovely. All of these are individually packaged into these Ziploc bags. Very cool. And it does come with a warranty thingy that you can check out later. I'm gonna continue unpacking these. Yeah, this thing is heavy. This is heavier than the monitor right there, and feels like a very sturdy stand. So that's one of the bigger reasons why I chose this monitor, because it came with a nice stand. Sorry, Jinbe-san, you're kind of the trash collector for today. But anyways, here are the components we have. You do get an Allen wrench / Phillips head screwdriver kind of tool when you purchase this. Also, you do get, I'm not sure what this is. I'm not gonna pretend I'm a tech expert, but you have a USB to a square USB thingy cable. You do have a Type-C to Type-C cable, and then you do have your good old power brick. This thing is dense. Oh, I know what this is. This is a extendo. So if you connect your monitor and this thing is dangling, which you don't want to have happen, you'd want to use this extender here, right here, for the power adapter. Then you have the plug itself, connects to your outlet, and then they give you an HDMI to an HDMI cable, which is lovely. And obviously, yep, gotta stand here. I suppose the next step now is to pretty much disassemble all of this. Okay, I'm gonna take you away, buddy, my lovely drawing tablet. Put you to the side, and then we're gonna see what madness is going on right here. I have a cable management tray here, which if you don't have one yet, I highly recommend taking one because it handles the dust very well. This used to be a complete mess before, so but what I'm thinking of is I'm just gonna take this away because this is pretty heavy. Oh my god. Okay, I do have a hole there, so I'm thinking about mounting the stand somewhere here, and then let's see where we go from there. These things are pretty cool. Basically what you do is just you kind of unclamp them. They're basically clamps. So, and then once that's loosened up, that just comes off like that. So yeah, these things were pretty handy for a time, but I think they need to retire. But you know what? I'm gonna keep them just in case I need to do some weird upgrades later on. These speakers, I don't need them anymore because the monitor that the LG DualUp monitor has built-in speakers already. So, but you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna dust them first. So, yeah, here's a view of what's inside the wire tray. I need to figure out which wires I don't need anymore. So, that's gonna be a challenge. Before I forget, here's my lovely little computer. If you're curious what my specs are, here it is. Whoa, there's some YouTube magic. And then here is my lovely little monitor stand that I just built out of 2x4s. And yeah, I think I'm gonna put this guy elsewhere. I don't know where, but I'm gonna put him somewhere. I'm not sure if I need it, but I bought myself an Ultra HD 8K DisplayPort cable. But for now, we're gonna try installing our stand here through what they call the grommet, apparently. I'm just gonna call it a hole in the desk. So I'm gonna grab this bad boy now. Looks like our situation here is the grommet with a hole in the desk, which it needs at least greater than or equal to 45 millimeters or 1.7 inches, which I think we're fine. And I believe from the video, I need to remove this clamp. Okay, I just realized something. There's a screw here. I can't remove this thing because the screw's in the way, so I'm gonna use their nifty little tool here to try and unscrew it. Trying to lift this thing off. There we go, lovely. And we're gonna try putting this on over there. Alright, okay, so I just put this thing through the hole, and this thing balances pretty well on its own actually. Now what I just need to do is put this back underneath and then try to, yeah, it's sticking out over there, you'll see. I just need to put this back here and then clamp it into place. Okay, the clamp is in there pretty tight, and I put the screw back in there, so I guess as per manufacturer's instructions, and this thing is not going anywhere. Look at that, really sturdy boy. A lot of movement here too. It's in a very good spot actually. I like it. This little Allen wrench / screwdriver can sleep here. Good night, my sweet prince. This little cover here. So that goes and it scooches over here. So I'm gonna try and cover. Okay, now that that's nice and snug, we can actually put the cap over. Beautiful. Now we just need to put the monitor. We can tilt down. Beautiful. Amazing. Can tilt sideways there too. Oh my god, look at that. That is absolutely ginormous. So according to the manual here, there's this leveling thing here, which I don't fully understand, but seems like this guy's getting impaled because the weight is it's too heavy in the front. So there's apparently a leveling thing here where this will warn you how much weight you have. So if you look at the back, there it is, that white thing. So if it goes up to here, I reckon it's a bad thing because you're putting too much weight in the front. So to alleviate that, apparently you can use the Allen wrench to kind of rotate it for less kilogram or more kilograms. I don't know exactly what this means, so probably need to look that up later. Oh my god, there it is, the HDMI. Oh my god, but holy crap, look at this. Oh my god. Wow, this is amazing. This is crazy.
Today we're going to take a look at the new 28NQ780 LG DualUp monitor. Let's begin
It's
with
loud.
the unboxing video. Here's the box package. Start by
This is normally my level, so this goes pretty loud.
Take the components out one by one.
For those tech-savvy people who are wondering what the specs are on this monitor itself, I'm gonna wave it around here for you to see. Pause the video if you need to, but here are the specs for this monitor. This is Nico from the future, and as you can currently tell, we are in a different room and different location, but still the same setup. So I moved, but it was relatively easy to set this thing up again. And you can see my computer is down here with some wiring happening over there, but essentially still the same setup. Granted, the wires are a bit messy on the back, but you don't really see that. And I'm here to give an honest review of the setup and to tell you whether or not you would need this monitor in your life. So first thing first, on a user point of view, I'm a digital artist, so I draw over here while I do other content on the top here. So in that perspective, I think it is quite useful, especially if you are, let's say you're looking at a bunch of reference photos. Let's look at a bunch of like random manga panels like here, and then let's open up another one. Let's open this one right here, like that. You do get a lot of screen, or I think it's what they called a screen real estate. So essentially what's happening here is that you have one monitor down here and another monitor stacked on top of it. So you get this really awkward yet very interesting aspect ratio. So in that perspective, I think it is, for visual people like me, having this much screen to look at is quite useful, especially if you're looking at tons of reference photos while you're creating stuff. Essentially, also what ends up happening is that if you are a writer, for example, and you have a very long script of things you need to write, it becomes very incredibly useful if you're going between pages and scanning through documents and writing, right? So this is a script that I'm making for a My Hero Academia doujinshi that I'm making, and I've written so much for this one already. It's over 52,000 words, which is nuts, but I've been working on this for quite a long time, and having this much a vertical space is quite handy, I would say. But there are often times where I wouldn't need it, and I would just simply resize this to whatever comfortable resolution or window size that I want it to be. I am using Windows 11, so it's pretty handy. If you click and drag this to the top of the screen, Windows gives you the option to scale it accordingly. So essentially, let's say I want to have my web browser at the bottom here, so it splits it nicely in half. So I'm giving you like kind of like a POV view of like my setup here. Other scenario, I suppose, that if you're a content manager or a social media manager, having this much vertical space is quite useful. And I think if you know, just having to scroll down Twitter like this and having this much room to work with is pretty nifty. I can imagine, I'm not a programmer, but if you have this much vertical space to work with, I feel like you'd have such an easier time to manage your code. So another example is that if you're a web designer, this is a Weebly, this is called Weebly, and it's kind of like a free website maker tool thing. You know, we go into theme here, change the theme, but we can also view the HTML/CSS, and that's kind of like, I can only imagine if you're a code programmer kind of person, having this much room to work with is pretty nifty, I would say. In the case of being a gamer / let's say you're a live streamer on Twitch or on YouTube, it becomes very interesting. First of all, a lot of the games do not support this huge aspect ratio. So typically, in my case, I've been using this monitor for about 3 months now, 4 months. And typically what ends up happening is that I actually force the game to go into the regular resolution, which is what is it, 9x18, whatever it is, resolution, so it becomes kind of tiny like this, which I don't mind actually. But if you're the kind of person who wants the full screen experience, what ends up happening is you're gonna have black borders at the top and the bottom of your screen, which I'm gonna show as a screenshot in a bit. So we have Genshin Impact being forced to a 16:9 aspect ratio on the left image with 2 black bars at the top and the bottom, but it's still possible to stretch it the entire screen ratio. The same can be said for Rocket League and Elden Ring. And for Elden Ring in particular, you'd want to download a specific mod that lets you stretch the entire screen. So if you're an avid Final Fantasy XIV player, you can basically stretch and make use of the 16:18 ratio and pretty much organize your thingamajigs however you want. But if you are a streamer, this is pretty much the same thing, right? You're working with a bigger screen, you have the game window at the bottom here, and you have essentially your whatever streaming software you're using at the top here. You can keep track of your chats here. It really depends on the person and what they're comfortable with, right? In my experience, having such a big monitor actually forces myself to get into like a really natural and non-slouched position just because of the sheer size of it. In other words, I'm not bent over trying to look into details, and I actually want, or my body instinctively wants to sit up straight, which is interesting, I think. And I wonder if I would achieve the same effect if, let's say, I have two monitors side by side like this. But most importantly, if you're someone like me who draw floor plans all the time, I think having this vertical real estate is so handy, and what we're looking at right now is AutoCAD. These things are called viewports, and I've split them into two, one above and one below, and what we're looking at is the basement plan, and then we have a main floor plan over here. And I think it's just incredibly useful to just like, because when you're working with floor plans, a lot of the times we try to line them up and make sure all the walls line up and make sure like all the walls make sense, because you wouldn't want the foundation wall to go from here and then the wall above it is like, let's say, at 2 feet over. As a designer, you want to make sure all these lines connect with each other, make sense, and on a construction point of view, right? So it is especially useful for when you're making, let's say, an elevation, right? We're looking at the front elevation here of this beautiful house, and yeah, just having this much room to work with and having to just like, instead of having to go back and forth, let's imagine we just have one monitor like this. Previously, what I would have done is to look over here, find a reference point, go back here, find another reference point, and it takes up so much time. And so on an efficiency viewpoint, this has made my work much more efficient and much more enjoyable, I would say. I almost forgot to show were the ports behind the monitor itself. What we have here is an upstream USB-C port, and then you have two USB-A ports going in. Below that is a USB-B port, and then even below that is the headset port, typical one that you find, so you can connect an additional speaker if you wish to, or just connect your headsets normally. In my current setup, I'm using I forgot what this is called, a display port, I think, going into my computer. But you do get the option to install two more HDMI ports, and you would wonder, why would I need two more of these ports when I can just connect to one monitor? And what some people can decide to do is, technically, you can have a display port going into your computer, and let's say you have a gaming console next to you on your desk. So what you can do now is that you can connect your gaming console via HDMI, and in this monitor, if I swivel over and then use the little knob at the bottom here to go into the settings. So currently we are on a display port. You have the option to either do HDMI 1, HDMI 2, and USB-C. But what you can also do is something called PBP. It's an acronym for something, but I forgot what it was. But what ends up happening is that if you have, like I said, a computer and a gaming console, what you can do is have the computer show up at the top portion of the screen and have the gaming console show up at the bottom. So this monitor allows for a bit of multitasking if you wish to do so. Well, at the end of the day, it's really up to you to decide whether or not you want to invest in such like a big girthy monitor like this one. In my experience, it's been quite a delight since day one, trying to learn all the new things. Just playing with whatever workflow works with with so much more vertical real estate available to you, right? You start making these new decisions whether or not I want to have my software over here and another piece of, I don't know, like a web browser at the bottom. You start developing a habit that is kind of like efficient and more kind of like systematic. So it really is, it comes down to you whether or not, it's also based on like use case as well, whether you're a web developer or a game designer or an architect, a video editor, or social media type of person. I think this is really catered towards a specific group of people. I wouldn't recommend it to everyone, but for me as a digital artist and also a floor plan designer, it has been very useful for me for the past half year. I think what I really like about this monitor is the fact that it has built-in speakers with it, and also the fact that it came with a swivel stand that you can easily kind of just like manipulate, and it's just that ease of use is what I recommend. Is the first thing that I say whenever I recommend this monitor to anyone interested in buying it. Hopefully this video has been super insightful. If you have any questions, leave it in the comments below. Maybe I'll try to answer some of them. But that's it for this video. Thanks for tuning in and going through the whole process with me as kind of like an average consumer. So yeah, I'll see you guys next time. This is Nico signing off.